Thanks for staying with us here on Sunrise. Well, it's time for another segment of Law and Order JA. So the question sent in this week reads, as the holiday season approaches, our neighbors have started setting off firecrackers, which usually wouldn't bother me. However, I now have a newborn, and the noise, especially early in the morning and late at night, is becoming disruptive. I've spoken to them about being more considerate, but since then, it seems they've been even more frequent, even throwing them onto the roof. What legal rights do I have in this situation? And would this issue fall under the Noise Abatement Act? Well, joining us to sound off on the issue at hand is the head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Gary McKenzie. Welcome, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning. Thank you.
Good. All right. So first of all, let us locate firecrackers, fireworks within the ambit of the law. Does it fall under, is it covered under the Noise Abatement Act?
No, not really. The Noise Abatement Act actually covers music that is amplified from a system or a sound system.
Okay.
Right. As it relates to firecrackers, there are 3 laws that actually govern that. And that is the Towns and Communities Act, the Customs Act, and the Gunpowder and Explosives Act. And so, as it relates to the Towns and Communities Act, that has to do with the disturbance that the firecracker may cause.
Right.
Because that is very loud and it is frightening as well. Also, under the Customs Act, this is something that is prohibited or restricted. And so, generally, persons taking these kinds of explosives, because that is really what they are, and they are not customed. And as well as the Gunpowder and Explosives Act, this is not something that is tolerated under the law. This is something that you have to get permission to actually explode. So
for persons who are seeking to acquire them, we have it every year, at, of course, at New Year's Eve. What does the law say about the acquisition? Because you're saying not everybody can or should have them. So is it illegal for persons? We see people on the hill setting off their own firecrackers all the time. Is it illegal for persons to have them? And sometimes in the major town centers, Half a Tree, Spanish Town, I can speak of, that you see people selling you them. Is it right for people to be able to sell them?
Well, firecrackers are illegal. As it relates to fireworks, which is, I believe, what you're referring to, that has to be authorized. So persons have to apply to the Ministry of National Security or within Kingston and St. Andrew to the mayor or custos and in other parishes. So that is what is expected to be done, because the police, for example, have to monitor that, and they do that along with the fire service, because this is it's a very important thing. People can set off fireworks and then, you know, everywhere burn down and so on. So that is something that has to be properly regulated.
Indeed. So ACP, how would you advise a person like the person who has written in? Some of the times people, you know, they send social media queries to the constabulary. Sometimes people just send off a tweet and asking for, they're trying to crowdsource a legal or law enforcement opinion on it. You have somebody who's at home, have them baby, the baby's trying to sleep, you're frightening the child, you're startling an elderly person. What redress does a person have in that regard?
Right, so the laws are quite clear, and the police, for example, if they see that within their view, then they can arrest and charge the person. If they do not see it in their view and it is reported, then they can act on it. If we think of the Gunpowder and Explosives Act, for example, the law permits the police that wherein they get intelligence that it exists anywhere, they can actually get a warrant to go and search, and they can seize those explosives and they can arrest and charge. What we are asking the public to do is that once they see persons in possession of these things is to report it to the police because, as I said before, apart from the disturbance and the annoyance that this will cause, which is a breach of the Towns and Communities Act, it is also illegal and certainly very dangerous. And so where persons are actually setting off these fireworks without authorization, without an insurance that it is safe to do so, then this is a problem.
Commissioner, I can't let you come and not ask just generally about noises, night noises, that kind of a problem. You know, persons are already planning their events that they're going to have, office parties maybe in full planning as we speak. You know, somebody might be saying, I'm going to have something on the rooftop of my business place. Remind persons of the need to seek a permit for if you're going to have a party, and also maybe somebody keeping a little something that's going to maybe be a little loud, and you know the process that you would advise them to do even in terms of notification of their neighbors.
Right. So when we have this, especially this season, music is generally played on two realms. One is for entertainment, where people charge a fee, and in other instances, people keep parties or get-together and so on.
Right.
For get-together parties and so on, where it is not something for hire and reward, it is not necessary that the person get a permit. However, if such noise is played, music is played and so on, and it is annoying neighbors and it is extending over 100 meters, then that becomes a problem. And so this is where the police come in. What we advise persons is that if you are going to do that, it has to be moderate, and it is very important to be courteous to your neighbors and so on, because you have to find out whether or not they are elderly, sick persons and so on that may be disturbed. And the other side of it, where persons are setting up entertainment, you know, for hire and reward and so on, large events, it is necessary to seek permit. They have to apply to the superintendent in charge of the parish or division, and they have to actually apply as well to the municipality. The police will then check to see whether or not, you know, everything is okay, to include, you know, whether the place is safe for it to be held, whether it is conducive to have crowd and to play the music and so on. Because remember now, we cannot have loud music where we have hospitals, where we have golden age home, where there are silent zones that are specifically scheduled. So it is very important that one seek to go to the police and ensure that they apply and get consult to ensure that they are on the right path.
Sounds good. You've heard it here first. Thank you very much to ACP Gary McKenzie, the head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEB. When we return, we're building diplomatic bonds through music in Out of Many. Stay with us.